Welcome to Foundations of Emo, hosted by Claire and Dani. Each episode we take one of our favourite bands and dive deep into their history and origins, reminiscing on our own emo roots along the way.
The way you said Dani there was so funny.
Because I was trying as well.
Hosted by Claire and Dani.
And I knew if I looked at you I was going to laugh, so I was trying to... Whew, I did it.
You did it with no script. Well done.
No script. One try. I'm
You're
a
pros.
professional lady. No, wait, I think that means something else.
Lady of the night.
Yes, that's me.
Where are we? Brussels?
Oh, wow, yeah. Claire and I are just home from Brussels. Well, we're home a couple of days.
Yeah, that was a trip.
It was an experience.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I mean, the gig was unreal.
Yes, we saw Fall Out Boy on the So Much for Stardust tour. It was incredible.
It was incredible.
It was everything I wanted. The set list was beautiful.
The set list was perfect.
Just, it was such a good mix. They did like 3 songs in a row from Take This to Your Grave. Oh,
so good. Mix of, like, there was very little Stardust on it.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird because it is the Stardust tour, or Tour Dust as they call it.
But I was okay with that though.
Like I really like the new album, but like I'm still happy to see the old songs, to be fair.
Yeah. And Patrick Stump is amazing.
He's such a little cutie. He did a little piano bit where he did Golden and what was the other song he did?
Don't Stop Believing.
That's not their song. Then he did another song as well. That was
Save
theirs.
Rock and Roll.
Oh, Save Rock and Roll, yeah. He was unreal, and he actually said he was nervous and that he always fucks it up. And I was like, oh no, little
so
Patrick.
cute. Yeah.
So the gig was incredible, but Brussels was strange, and
Brussels
I feel like
is strange.
I will not be back.
I expected it to be very posh.
Metropolitan or something, because it's the centre of the EU.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be very cool and upmarket, and I don't know.
And it is not whatsoever.
Well, like, we stayed in a really dodgy area, which was obviously a mistake. But even in the city centre, there was not a lot going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the area in was necessarily dodgy. I think once you went outside that area where all the like government buildings were and everything, it was dodgy.
Yeah, it's pretty dodgy.
There's a lot of sirens.
Sirens every 2 seconds.
So many sirens.
There were ladies in the windows. There were men
propositioning us all the time.
There was a lot. Well, we're home safe, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, but maybe next time, if we're going to a European tour, we will not pick Brussels.
Yeah, no, definitely not. We'll try somewhere else and hope for the best. Well, why are we here today, Claire?
We are here to talk about Simple Plan. Did you enjoy listening to them?
Spoiler alert, no.
Neither did I. The reason I picked them was because they came up on one of my playlists, I think. And I was like, do you remember this song? And then I went back and went through all their songs and I was like, I know all these songs. But actually, it turns out I only know the first 2 albums and I know nothing about them after that.
I was actually surprised by how many singles they have, because I think if you told me to name a Simple Plan song, I probably could have named like 1 to 2.
Yeah.
But then as I was listening, I was like, oh, I know this one. Oh, I know this one. I know this one. And I've never listened to them before. So it was all just singles that I've heard.
Or they all sound the same.
Well, that as well. They very much sound the same.
Well, are you ready to learn all about them?
Yes, I hope they have an interesting story at least.
You know. What do we say? Interesting? Let's go for it. Simple Plan are Canadian and formed all the way back in 1999 in what must be a complete first for us. The current lineup consists of Pierre, Chuck, Jeff and Sebastian, who have been in the band since its inception.
Oh my god.
I know.
That's actually crazy.
Isn't it?
Since 1999.
Yeah.
I can't do maths. That's a lot of years.
That's a lot of years.
24. That wasn't even hard.
I noticed that I did not use their surnames and I won't be because they're French and I cannot pronounce them.
I can't speak French.
Danny also doesn't speak French, as evidenced by us being in Brussels.
I did it for 5 years in secondary school and I've been doing it on Duolingo for the past almost year. And it turns out I still can't speak French, so...
We were in a taxi and the poor taxi man could only speak Spanish or French. So he started speaking to us in French and there was just like blank stares. Like our friends Ken and Caroline were there and Ken was up the front and he was like nope, and Caroline tried French as well, I think, and then we were like, okay, try Spanish, because I did Spanish in school and Dani Duolingo's in Spanish and we were like, nope, still no. I haven't got a clue.
It was bad.
So anyway, we're going to go with first names here. So Pierre and Chuck were in a band together in 1993 called Reset. They were only 13 at the time, but they later toured Canada with bands called Face to Face and 10 Foot Pole, who I've never heard of.
10 Foot Pole. Brilliant name.
and they actually released an album in 1997. However, Chuck was unhappy with the musical direction and left in 1998 to go to college. There he met with his former high school friends and guitarists Jeff and Sebastian the following year, and they formed Simple Plan. That same year, Pierre and Chuck reacquainted at a Sugar Ray concert, and Pierre decided Simple Plan sounded better than Reset, and he joined them instead.
Aww.
Bassist David French, surname, replaced Pierre in Reset. However, 6 months later, he also left and joined Simple Plan.
Well, it was the place to be.
Poor Reset. Imagine all your band members just go and form a new band.
Who was left in Reset? Was there like many?
I don't know. So I'm referring to them as Simple Plan, but actually when they formed, they were considering naming themselves Touchdown 999.
Oh, Jesus. I'm glad they went with Simple Plan.
Yeah, they changed it to Simple Plan, which was taken from a 1998 film of the same name.
Don't know it.
Don't know it either. So Simple Plan were originally signed to Lava Records, which is part of Universal Music Group, but were signed to Atlantic Records shortly after. They spent over a year recording their debut album, No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls.
Makes me laugh every time.
With producer Arnold Lanny. It is a good name though.
Lanny?
No, it's the album name.
Oh, the album name. Jesus Christ. I actually, when I saw it on Spotify, I was like, that sounds vaguely familiar to me. But I was like, it's such a like,
Yeah, isn't it?
we're fun boys.
Which is kind
Willies.
it's the running theme throughout this.
It reminds me of like very early Blink. Like, and their like
Yeah.
toilet humour kind of thing.
Toilet humour, that's exactly it, yeah. According to Pierre, the recording took so long because there was clashes between Lanny and the band. Lanny ultimately wanted Pierre to sound more whiny, as he felt it would help the band sound more unique, and Pierre later regretted this. The theme of the album is basically about being an outcast, which led people to draw comparisons between them and Blink-182,
Yeah.
Good Charlotte,
I called it.
and New Found Glory.
Yeah, when I listened to the first 2 albums, I was like, they really remind me of early Good Charlotte, like really.
Yeah.
But I remember like hearing them and hearing Good Charlotte and being obsessed with Good Charlotte and always hating Simple Plan. But now that I listen to it, I'm like, why did I not like this?
It's the
It sounds
same.
exactly like
Yeah,
Good Charlotte.
yeah. I liked Simple Plan, but were they more cringe?
Yeah, I don't know what it
But
was.
then you think about that and then I'm like, how are they more cringe when you listen to Good Charlotte and they're like, this one goes out to every kid who ever got pick class in gym class. Like, that's cringe as well.
Yeah, true. That's why I don't really understand why I didn't connect with Simple Plan but did with Good Charlotte when they're so similar.
Yeah. Mark Hoppus actually does backup vocals for the first song on the album, I'd Do Anything, because they became friends when Reset toured with them in 1997.
Think of the amount of fart jokes.
Oh, God. And Joel Madden provides backup vocals on You Don't Mean Anything.
Ah.
Yeah. Following the album's release, the band went on a number of tours with bands like Sugar Ray and Blink-182. During their touring, they were accused of selling out by fans due to how commercial sounding they had become. They appeared on, yes, of course, Jimmy Kimmel Live, and supported Avril Lavigne on her tour in the US.
So, literally, the fans were saying they sounded like they were too commercial during the
I
first
think
album?
these were like Reset fans.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Because I was like, more commercial than what? Like,
Yeah,
it
was
literally just came out.
anything. But they are very commercial. I think that was their whole...
Yeah, it's
thing.
very formulaic. It's very samey, radio friendly. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, hey, we're like a little bit punk, but like we're still good
yeah,
guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like the Wish.com version of
Yeah.
punk. So No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls received the usual mixed reviews from critics. One particular review I liked was by Todd Crystal for All Music when he said, quote, "The band don't have anything new to say, but at least they sound like they're having a good time saying it."
Okay.
However, commercially it was a huge success and was certified double platinum.
Wow. Did you have it?
Yes, I think I did.
I don't know.
Yeah. A random fact, Simple Plan performed and recorded the theme song for a rebooted installment of the Scooby-Doo franchise, What's New, Scooby-Doo, and the show used the band's intro throughout its entire run until it finished in 2006.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, all the stuff that we knew nothing about.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I watched Scooby-Doo.
I think they're actually really successful, obviously in Canada, like French Canadians obviously love them because they're French Canadian, but maybe just not as popular in Europe. Because I would never have said Scooby-Doo would reach out to them and be like, here.
Yeah, that's wild to me. Because, I mean, Patrick Stump now does the theme song for the Spider-Man cartoon.
Does he?
Yeah. Indy was watching it one day and the credits like rolled and I was like, that is Fall Out Boy. And she looked at me and she's like, what? I was like, that is Fall Out Boy. And it wasn't, it's only Patrick. But she was like, how do you know? And I was like, I would know the sweet tones of Patrick's stump anywhere. And then I Googled it and it was correct. But like, I mean, how long have Fall Out Boy been around for them to get Patrick to do it? It seems crazy that they're brand new and doing things like that.
Patrick is way more talented. Oops, sorry, I said it.
Correct.
So their second studio album was called Still Not Getting Any, which was apparently in relation to the fact that they still weren't really getting any positive reviews from critics.
I just presumed it was sex.
I mean, probably that too, but who knows. The band was touring so much that they only had about 3 months to write songs for this album, which led to frequent arguments between Pierre and Chuck. By the end of 2003, they had about 10 to 15 ideas for new songs and recorded the album the following year. Now, this is wild to me, right? Because it's just not what I think of when I think of Simple Plan. Producer Bob Rock met the band and said that he wanted to do the Black Album, but with Simple Plan songs.
What?
Yes, the Black Album, as in Metallica.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you'd get them mixed up sometimes. When I was listening to their back catalogue, I was like, Jesus, is this Metallica? No, it's Simple Plan. Is
this Lars Ulrich? Because of this, the band went with a bigger and more open sound. The group placed less emphasis on pop punk and went with more straightforward rock. The closing song is called Untitled, which was apparently because they literally couldn't think of anything else to call it.
Is it not called Untitled and then something in brackets?
However, it has since been retitled Untitled in brackets. How could this happen to me?
Yeah, I know, because it was going to be my song to skip and then I found a different song to skip.
How did this happen to me?
It was horrific. That is a horrific song. And I would also like to say, mistake. I don't think the album is more rock. I think it's exactly the same as the first album.
I couldn't tell the difference between what songs are on this and what songs are on No Pads, No Helmets. They're all the same.
Because this album has Shut Up, doesn't it? And then the first album has like Addicted and...
I'm addicted.
Something else.
See, I don't know. They're all the same, right?
Sorry, I Can't Be Perfect. Is that on the first? Sorry. See, they're very similar albums.
Yeah. See, we can't decide. But the album was released at the end of 2004, and according to reviews, people did actually recognise this move towards more straightforward rock, which I can't notice.
What people? Your moms? Like, yes, honey, I hear the rock, yes.
What's that, Pierre? Oh, yes, absolutely.
Ah, oui, oui. Le rock. See, I can't speak French, Claire. Fuck you.
Another cracker of review came from the New York Times, which concluded, quote, individually, the songs are catchy, but as they pile up over the length of the album, it's impossible not to wonder whether the singer's endless complaints didn't drive anyone away.
It is kind of fair.
It is very whiny.
But it's just so samey. I'm like, is this the last song I was listening to? Have we moved on to the next song?
Yeah.
Is this they're all so similar. Like, it's actually wild. Like, we've listened to some bad music, like Escape the Fate and stuff like that, that's like actively bad. But this is just like, they're literally all the same. Like, I can't even hate them. I'm just like, it's like listening to the same song over and over and over again.
Yeah, like, when I listened to Simple Plan, I always felt quite woe is me after a few songs. And like, I learned to play a few on the guitar. One of which was like, welcome to my life. Yes. And I used to sing them in my room, and I'm sure my parents were like, what is she doing? There's me. No, you don't know what it's like.
So misunderstood.
So misunderstood, that's me. However, this still also managed to be certified platinum. So the band toured to promote this album until early 2006, then took some time off and began writing their third studio album in 2007. The self-titled album was recorded in the same studio in Montreal, where they recorded Still Not Getting Any, and the first single from it was released in October that year called When I'm Gone, which became the band's highest charting single in the UK.
Which one is that?
I couldn't tell you.
I would have said Addicted was their biggest song.
I would have said that as well.
Because they used to play it on Spin 103.8 all the time.
Did they?
Yeah, all the time.
Which was the one, maybe it was Shut Up, was that the video where they were like dancing around some rich people's banquet or something?
Oh Jesus, I have no idea.
I think that was Shut Up. So Simple Plan, the album, was released in February 2008 and was described as a large musical departure, here we go, from the band's previous albums because it was more love-based than teen angst. Again, didn't get that vibe.
No. I will say, after listening to all 6 of their albums consecutively, I was so amazed at a band who did not in any way ever try to do something different. Like, ever. Like, it was the same album.
But that makes them different to all the other bands we've listened to. They didn't have that album in between where it was like, wow, this is different. They just all sound the exact same.
But as we said, they've been together for 24 years. And in that time, they're still making the exact same music. Like, exactly the same. It is wild to me.
I think the album cover for this one, though, is actually noticeably different because it features the band looking very forlorn in black and white.
Wow.
Compared to still not getting any where the band look very angsty in what looks like some sort of burnt out bus. But this was apparently due to a fan-based poll because the original album cover was supposed to be them against a fire backdrop. So only 3 of the songs on this album are credited solely to Simple Plan. The rest were all co-written by a variety of people, including, get this, former Limp Bizkit member DJ Lethal.
How does it sound exactly the same then if they've got like loads of co-writers on it?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe Simple Plan songs are so formulaic that it's quite easy to like someone to write one.
I think I could write a Simple Plan song.
I think anyone could.
I've had a really bad day. It sucks being me.
Things are getting in my way. Think I'll have a cup of tea.
See? That could be on an album.
Double platinum.
So this album, wait till you hear this, was likened to various other bands including AFI, Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and U2.
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 Wow.
Bono.
Like,
I don't know who likened them to it, but somebody did.
I don't like U2. It's not like I'm offended by the comparison, but it's just, what?
I hear no U2 on this, but there you go. So this album was nominated for 2008 Juno Awards in the Best Album category, but lost to Nickelback's Dark Horse. Again, the band toured extensively to promote this album all over the world, including Canada, the US and Europe, but most noticeably was the shows they played in Dubai and Tel Aviv, because they played them as a 4-piece, due to David, French name, being absent due to a family emergency.
French name.
How do you pronounce that? Des
Rossier?
Sure. Not a whole load of excitement happened for the next year or so, just more touring and writing for their next record, which they announced in March for release in June 2011. The album was untitled at the time, but they then announced the title a month later. Get Your Heart On!
Oh, God, yes. How could I forget that? Again, it's the toilet humour. Get your heart on. You know what that means.
I literally never heard of this until last week's episode, and for some reason I thought it sounded like a live album or something. But yeah, it has been confirmed that it is a dick joke, alluding to an erection.
Yes.
So mature. But guess what? This album drew comparisons to Infinity on High.
No.
Yeah.
Just no. That's all I have to say about that.
It also features a few collaborations, did you notice this, with people such as Natasha Bedingfield.
Yes, actually, I did look at my phone and I was like, Natasha.
How random.
That is random. Although 2011 was probably like the height of her fame.
Yeah, she probably released that, what was it? Rivers from Weezer and Alex Gaskarth from All Time Low. The closing track was very reminiscent of their first 2 albums, which ended with Perfect and Untitled, if you can remember. This track was This Song Saved My Life.
Jesus Christ.
And the lyrics consist of messages from fans. There's also a bonus track in the album which was originally written for the Simple Plan album but didn't make the cut. So the music video for this song, Save My Life, was intended to highlight the consequences of human trafficking and shows a person putting on a new shirt, then finding a note in it that says, help me, and cuts to Vietnamese children sewing shirts in a factory.
Oh my God, that's a bit fucking deep for Simple Plan, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen that. I feel like I remember that.
I mean, it kind of sounds familiar to me, the whole like finding a note in the shirt, but like surely someone would have noticed between production and packaging that there was a note in the shirt.
Didn't that happen in like a factory?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. I was really surprised that they got Rivers from Weezer. Like, I know they're so big, but I'm just like, oh, he's so like esteemed.
Yeah, they must have all these mates that, like, the fact that they're still friends with Blink-182. I don't know. And like, it all seemed to happen very quickly for them. There was none of this, they had to play a show and then get signed. I feel like they had friends in high places.
Yeah. It just seems like they just took off straight away.
Yeah. Weird. So Get Your Heart On received mostly positive reviews. At this stage, critics seem to just accept the fact that Simple Plan are who they are and they do what they do in a poppy catchy way. Kerrang was blunt, stating, it may not be rocket science, but there is an art to doing this right, and Simple Plan have once again pulled it off.
Okay.
It debuted at number 2 on the Canadian albums chart, only behind Adele.
Wow, okay.
But here's what we were saying about how maybe they're not as popular. So it didn't do too well in the US and sold only 9,000 copies before falling off the chart completely the week after.
Well, 9,000 is very small.
Yeah, so obviously in Canada they're huge, not so much in the US.
Yeah.
This album was very poppy to me, and I completely agree with the reviews of it when they say they're never going to break new ground, but what they do well for that genre.
Yeah, it was just much the same, really.
Whatever that genre is.
It's like Simple Plan genre. Poppy, whiny, woe is me. Like, even the lyrics are like very juvenile, I found, of all the songs. Like, they're very basic and they're very like just embarrassing. Honestly.
Yeah, I can't describe why they're embarrassing, because so we said this before about like Fall Out Boy and Taking Back Sunday. Like, their lyrics are like smart and poetry and like they have substance to them, and then the likes of Good Charlotte are just very not.
Woke up in the morning, you know, got out of bed. It's just like, you're just, oh, I don't know.
But I don't know why it works for some bands and it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a combo of the simple music and the simple lyrics.
Simple Plan.
Simple Plan, maybe that's where it comes from. Who knows?
That's the formula.
But there was exciting news for their next album, though. Because in 2014, when they were beginning to record demos, they announced that one of our favourite people, Mr. Frankie Aero, was working with them on their next album.
Why, Frank?
I know. They released a single called Saturday in summer 2015, but stated that it would not be on the album. And then 2 months later, they released another one called Boom, which is going to be on the album. They released a music video on the same day, which is basically footage of them from the first half of 2015, and had cameos from bands like All Time Low, Pierce the Veil, Silverstein, and Parkway Drive, to name a few.
Okay.
So they released 2 more songs the following month, one of which was I Don't Want to Go to Bed, and featured none other than rapper Nelly.
That was so strange. And also, that song is horrific.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like a song he'd feature on I Don't Want to Go to Bed.
I looked at my phone, I was on the bus, and I looked at it and it said, I Don't Want to Go to Bed featuring Nelly. And I was like, featuring Nelly? So then I like really paid attention to the song, because sometimes you can kind of zone out and stop listening. But I was like, I really want to hear this. And the song was just like, I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to bed.
Which is
I don't want to go to, and it was like, I was like, are there other lyrics in this song? Is that it?
But I feel like that's why their songs are catchy and get stuck in your head, because they're just so repetitive.
And like, oh, childish again. I don't want to go to bed. Yeah, neither does my 5-year-old. Like,
she really doesn't. She's had none of it today.
She's still calling us.
So they announced the album title would be Taking One for the Team. It was released through Atlantic Records again in February 2016, but was also their last album released through this record label, as its release meant they had fulfilled their contract with them. So this album debuted at number 4 on the Canadian Albums Chart, and this meant they had a perfect streak of top 10s for their first 5 studio albums.
I also feel like their first 2 albums had like a lot of singles that got big over here. But then, like, I hadn't heard about them in years when all these albums were coming out.
No, genuinely, I got really excited when I was like, I'm going to do Simple Plan, because I was like, maybe they only have 3 albums.
Yeah.
But no, they have 6. I feel like having a perfect streak of top 10s is an achievement, but it's definitely not an achievement I would associate with them. I would never say that. But I guess it just proves, even though critics might say they don't bring anything new to the table, it's working in some ways.
I don't want to go to bed.
But this was also the last album the band released as a quintet. Dun dun dun! So a review of this album that I particularly enjoyed was published by an online magazine called Consequence of Sound, which commended the band for their longevity and said, quote, when the punches land, you want to bless these guys for sticking to their guns and not growing up. But the misses are real and painful, and they make Taking One for the Team a far more embarrassing listen than it needed to be.
Fair.
So good. In 2017, an anniversary tour was announced to commemorate the 15-year anniversary of No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls. So from May to June 2017, David Frenchnaim had been on hiatus from touring while he was at home recovering from depression, during which the band had a touring musician called Shady Awad.
What?
Well, okay, so, or else it's Chady? Chady? C-H-A-D-Y. How'd you pronounce that?
Oh God, I have no idea.
Chaywad. No, Chaywad?
You know, you're just giving him your... I'm going to call him Chaywad.
Anyway, this fella, he filled in on bass, and Pierre and Sebastian divided his vocal parts. This was the second time David had been absent from the band.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, did he never come back that time?
Following this tour, the band announced they would begin recording their 6th album in 2018. And that same year, they also filmed scenes for a punk rock musical called Summertime Dropouts.
Jesus.
Sounds like a band name, Summertime Dropouts. But in summer 2019, fear not, they reunited with David and marked his official return to the band. They also announced they were now free agents as their contract had been fulfilled with Atlantic Records. Like, was that a hint? They'd be like, hey guys, we're free agents.
Can someone please sign us? Thanks.
Don't all rush at once.
We know what we're doing. It's the same thing we've done for the last 20 years.
So there was still no sign of this new album, although they did release a song with State Champs and We the Kings. And then, in 2020, a year after David made his official return to the band, Pervert Stories.
Oh no!
It was announced he had officially left due to sexual misconduct allegations on social media.
Of course.
Are we surprised?
I feel like it's been a while since we've had a pervert.
But even Simple Plan have a pervert.
Yes, everyone does.
Everyone has a pervert. But, get this, not only that, 5 days later, his touring replacement, Chady Awad, also left the band due to sexual misconduct allegations.
Wow. They got multiple perverts.
Imagine getting
That's unusual.
Yeah.
Usually just the one, token pervert.
But like, imagine having a pervert and then you replace the pervert with a pervert.
You're like, same vibe as that first guy we had. Kind of pervy. I like that.
After this, David admitted to what he called harmful interactions with women.
Jesus Christ, what does that mean?
I don't know. But an anonymous accuser on social media posted that he had started making inappropriate jokes with her when she was a minor before having consensual sex with her when she came of age. She alleged that he had invited others for group sex without her knowledge, threatened her and demeaned her. David pledged to seek professional help to educate himself and act appropriately in the future.
I mean, the fact he waited till she was of age to have sex with her, like after grooming her from the time she was underage, like... I don't think he needs to be educated on proper conduct. Like,
I thought you were going to be like, fair play to him. I was like,
no! No, but it's just like he went to like educate himself. Like, you know, no, babe, you know what you're doing, chicken.
What, educate him what the consensual age is? Like, come on. Might just go off on a tangent for a little while.
Yeah, go on.
You know, with all this whole Ramstein come to Dublin thing, like the amount of people who are like, oh, but the allegations were dropped.
Yeah, the allegations are nearly always dropped.
They're like, so it's not true because there was no evidence. And it's like, no. So obviously we all know I'm a true crime junkie, but half the time these things are dropped because they don't have physical evidence, they have circumstantial evidence, and they don't want to go to trial because once they go to trial, they can't go to trial again. So they need to wait until they have a solid case or else they're never going to win it. Mm-hmm. And in situations like this, most of the time it is a he said, she said type of thing. And while I would like to believe that no woman would ever make up a story, I'm sure it does happen. There's definitely women out there who would probably ruin someone's life by saying it. But there are so many women coming forward about him with all these stories. There's no way it's not true.
Yeah, no, 100%. I had a very angry rant on like my personal Instagram about it because the amount of people who were excited to see them play in Dublin, and I was like, he was literally like just like everyone came forward about him and loads of different stories came from loads of different women, and like the main woman, the case was dropped because there was no evidence. Everyone's like, well, he was innocent then.
It's like, no, he's not, because things like, what is it, he has a suck room under the stage?
Yeah, the suck box.
Things like that, like, is that illegal? Probably not. So even if that is true, they're not going to bring him to court over it.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, apparently he had a room like under the stage set up in every venue he went to, and there was a woman that worked with him who went out into the audience and picked out girls and were like, hey, do you want to meet the singer of Rammstein? And obviously they're at his gig, so they're like, yes, I love him. And then they're brought to the room under the stage and expected to suckbox him, shall I say. And that's how this all came out, is that a girl came forward and said she felt like she was spiked, like she was brought to that room to meet him, but she started feeling really weird and like she thinks someone was putting her drink, and then she was expected to do things to him, but she didn't. But she came out with her story basically and said that she was spiked and like expected to perform sexual things for him. And it's really strange because I found this article about it and it was like a timeline of events. And in the timeline, Rammstein kept coming out and saying, oh, we would never spike any drinks, and like threatening to sue anyone who talked about the drugging side of it. But there was no denial of like anything else except for the drugging.
See, that's what I mean. People are like, oh, but he's innocent. It's like, innocent of what though? Because regardless of whether the girls that they invited down to this room were of age or not, you're still taking advantage of the fact that you're in that position.
They're a fan, yeah.
Yeah, you're inviting these women there because you know that they're more likely to do that stuff to you because you are seen as like this higher being in their eyes and they worship you, and you're taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah, it's a power play regardless of like the age or the consent even given. Like, it's there's power imbalance there.
It's still gross.
And also he's a 6-year-old man who is hideous, may I say. Like, there's literally no way that anyone would dream of doing anything to him except for because he sings in a band.
He's gross. So don't go see them. Okay, thanks. Even though I know loads of people who are going to see them.
Yeah.
All men.
I've actually seen women say they're really excited that they got tickets, and they're usually women who are really vocal about these things, and it's weird. It's like, oh, like, it was fine when we could badmouth bands we didn't like, but like, I pretend I do not see it, you know? It's like,
oh, I don't know.
All the bands we have to stop listening to because they're perverts.
I know.
And we don't just be like, well, I still like their music, so it's fine.
Like, we said it before, that band that we never name, I would love to have the girls sing along to their songs, but I can't because...
And you would never give them the money to go and see them, like, ever. Well, obviously, if he was in the band, jeez, if he got out of prison and stopped being stabbed.
So anyway, off on that tangent, just had to throw that in there. But Simple Plan responded to David's departure by taking to Instagram and said, "We offer our deepest apologies to the women who were hurt by his actions. We are also sorry for all our fans who are disappointed by this regretful situation. We will, as a band, take time to pause, reflect, and put in place guidelines to prevent similar situations from happening."
You mean the similar situation that happened again then with the other guy?
5 days later.
I mean, at least they addressed it. I mean, I know that's like the bar is on the floor, but like a lot of bands are...
Yeah, a lot of bands don't. Who was it that didn't recently?
Was it the A Day to Remember one?
Was it, yeah? There was some band
they
that
knew he was a pervert for like
anything.
10 years and they just never released a statement about it.
Well, a week later, their management company, Coalition Music, revealed the band would no longer work with Shady A-Wad, who had not only been a touring musician, but had also directed some of the band's music videos due to his sexual misconduct claims. While the accusations were unclear, Coalition Music said there was a story they had heard secondhand that they are nonetheless taking extremely seriously, and they had put a process in place for the person involved to have the opportunity to confidently and safely tell their story.
Fair enough to the record company.
But AWOD completely denied this, stating they had no plans to work together anyway, and that decision was not made because they took the allegations to be true. So I couldn't find anything further on this, but he still seems to be a pretty successful photographer and videographer. And his Instagram name is, ironically, Good Guy Shady.
Wow. The beautiful irony.
But he's only posted to Instagram a few times since these allegations, so I don't know.
It's like, I know it'll throw them off the scent. What if
I am
my name
not
is
a pervert.
Good Guy, not Pervert Shady. Jesus.
So needless to say, their 6th album didn't make an appearance until last year. The album's title is Harder Than It Looks and was self-released. It was pitched as a return to the band's pop-punk roots because they clearly had left them somewhere.
It was such a departure from those.
It featured a collaboration with Mr. Derek Whitby from Sum 41 on the album's 2nd single called Ruin My Life. I mean, again, the reception for this was the usual, though it seemed to mostly earn praise for being less teenage angsty but more thinking of better days to come.
I have to say that I was listening to this and I was kind of looking forward to hearing their more recent stuff to see if it had changed in any way. It hasn't. And the lyrics are still so embarrassing. There was one song, and I can't remember at all off the top of my head, but it was just so embarrassing and being about was it being about not being included or being left out of a group or something? And I was like, my dude, what age are you? Like, you're not still in school. Like 20 years ago you released the first album. Why are you still singing about like not being able to hang out with the cool kids?
It really hit him hard. Like
I was like, go to therapy and get over it. Jesus Christ. Like,
but do you think their recipe for success is the fact that they don't bring their fans with them? They just make new ones.
Maybe.
So like they're continuously targeting the target audience of 14-year-olds who are still going to high school, not having a good time. But then once those 14-year-olds grow up, they don't like them anymore. But it's okay because the next 14-year-olds...
Then it's like creepy because there's a 40-year-old man being like, hey, school is hard. Like, you're not going to be like, man, he gets me.
School is hard though. He's not lying.
But like, you need someone your own age who you're like, oh yeah, they get me. Like, they know what this is.
Yeah, like
he was in
work
school
life is hard.
so many years ago. Why is he still singing about it?
One thing I'm really not impressed with or down with about this album. David's bass parts were apparently recorded before he left and he's credited on this album.
Oh, that's a bit weird.
I just think if you're going to part ways with someone because he's a pervert and he admitted he had harmful interactions and you've released a statement saying you're sorry for the fans, why are you giving him the credit of being on the album?
Yeah, because he's going to get royalties and stuff if he's credited.
Would you not just cut all ties with him? Why are you like, hey, you're a pervert, but it's grand. We'll still keep your bass parts. It's not like it's hard to play the bass.
It'd be like, it's kind of a big deal. I have to find a new bass player, get him to play the parts. We'll just leave it. It's fine. It's just a bit of pervert. Just a bit of pervert.
So Pierre is on an episode of Lead Singer Syndrome, which Shane told, and revealed he has often thought about doing solo projects.
Why?
Well, he decided
Who wants this? No offense to him, but like, it's not like he has an incredible voice. He has the same pop punk voice as everyone else. Well,
he decided rather than waste time on something that might not be successful, he would rather put his energy into something he knows is already successful.
The one formulaic album released again and again.
But I kind of respect that. I'm like, he knows if he went out on his own, it might not be so great.
I couldn't think of anything else he would do, like, other than release another Simple Plans album, but like, just without the rest of the guys.
Well, imagine he went like, what was your man's name? Charlie Simpson from Busted. Do you remember he joined, what the hell is the name of that band?
Fight Star.
Crap name, but I really enjoyed their songs.
He's like, I'm going heavy, guys. Back in high school. This one is going to be heavier and darker than anything we've ever released before.
I'd listen to that.
I don't know why. I was like, imagine he just went some complete different direction, like French opera.
Bonjour.
Oui, oui.
Well, he also said on this podcast that he feels like a fraud sometimes as a singer because the only reason he did vocals originally was because his vocals sucked the least. Which I can see. He does not have the best voice.
Like, there's nothing wrong with his voice, but it's just very basic.
It's
like,
very,
it could be anybody.
Like, nasally. Like, very whiny. But now that we've come to the end, I have a question to ask you.
Yes?
Simple Plan are in their mid-40s now. Do you think they have that many years left in their career playing this kind of music?
Well, they're in their mid-40s now and they're still singing about being in high school. So, I mean, if they've done it up till this point.
But, like, can you really see them in another, like, 10 years doing it? Like, when they're in their 50s?
I don't know. I mean, because they only recently played at the When We Were Young. They were all over my Instagram feed.
Or did they play at that?
Yeah, I saw loads of videos of them. And like, to be fair, they looked like, you wouldn't be like, oh my god, who are these old men? Like, they look great, like, for their age and everything.
They do. I kind of fancy him a bit. He's probably a pervert.
No, he never did it for me.
Pierre Bouvier.
He's no Joel Madden.
But when you think about it, I'm still obsessed with the Backstreet Boys. And they're in their 50s. Are they? Yeah.
Jesus, are they in their 50s?
And like, their songs are like so cheesy.
But I feel like it's different because they're singing songs they've released before. They're not writing new songs that sound like
that's very
their
true.
old songs.
Yeah, their newer stuff is probably more mature. Yeah, that's true.
All shall be revealed.
All shall be revealed. Do you have your songs? My song to skip is on what album?
I'll be real.
Oh yeah.
There could have been many songs to skip, to be fair.
My song to skip is Perfectly Perfect. Is that what you've picked? Because the lyrics made me want to die.
Yeah.
Like, I just have the lyrics up here. You might not think you're a supermodel, but you look like one to me. I'd rather have your picture on my phone than on the cover of a magazine.
What does that even mean?
It's hard to think that a girl like you could have any insecurities. It's funny how all the things you would change are all the things that are cute to me. Like, I feel like if a man said that, I'd be like, please.
I would throw up on his face. On and around his face.
Which I don't know, because it's like, it is really nice. And like, he's telling me that I'm pretty, but like...
Is it necessary?
I don't know. It's all a bit too much. I think it's
so
just
much.
too much.
I actually, like, I listened to one album and I was like, oh, that's my song to skip. And then I listened to the next album, I was like, no, that's my song to skip. And there were so many it could have been, but that ended up being mine as well, because...
all the like slow ones at the end of them were kind of the ones where I was like, skip. But the one that, I mean, wouldn't necessarily have on repeat, I would say. but that I wouldn't mind listening to is between two, but I'm gonna go with Addicted.
That was mine as well. We've got the same songs.
That's hilarious. That's the first time that's ever happened. I just think that one's catchy and it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like I don't think I want to listen to any Simple Plan songs again, but if it came on, I'd have a bop to it. Like,
yeah, like I'd sing along.
It's just so silly.
Yeah.
And it was great to hear I'm a dick all over the radio back in the day.
Yeah, it was, but they weren't actually saying dick.
They were saying addicted. Funny, guys, funny.
Okay, so tell us. We had the nice, easy, perverted, Simple Plan. Who do we have next?
Okay, I'm gonna hate them. I'm excited.
Oh, you're always excited.
They only have 2 albums, which is what sold it to me because we're so busy at the minute. The idea of having to listen to like 10 albums on top of everything else I'm trying to do right now is a lot. So when I saw they came into my head, I looked them up, 2 albums and a load of singles. So we'll listen to the singles as well because there's not that much music to listen to.
Okay.
It's cute as what we aim for.
I did not know you were going to say that.
I know.
And they actually came into my head as one that I might do someday, but I completely forgot about them. They only have 2 albums.
I only have 2 albums.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah. I started looking up the story and there's a bit of story there as well. So I was like, okay, yeah, definitely no choosing them.
But You'll have a jump in your step and a whip in your... Yeah.
And then I kept wanting to listen to them. I was like, no, I have to listen to Simple
Plan.
I'm
excited.
Because I kept getting their songs stuck in my head. So once I started thinking about them.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm excited. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like you now.
Because you hated me before.
I was like, she's going to pick... I had a few ideas in my head of what you were going to pick.
I had several bands, and every time I looked them up, they had like 10 albums, and I was like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
But I think we got off easy enough with Simple Plan, 6 albums, and then easy with the 2 albums, so the next one's probably going to have to be a long one.
It's going to have to be
just because we're running out of bands that don't have that many albums.
Well, I mean, the bands are endless, really.
I mean, if you can find something with only a few albums, go for it. But I think all the rest of the bands that I have on my list have a lot of albums.
Really quickly, something just came into my head there. Did you see the set list now? What you call it for Slam Dunk next year?
Oh, the lineup.
Yeah. Funeral are playing.
Yes.
We're like been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Don't need to see them. Wasn't like I'm not overly pushed.
Because you went to Slam Dunk last year and you go a lot of years. I've never been. But you hype it up as like so exciting. And I was like, oh, I'd love to be able to go next year. And then I saw the lineup and I was like,
no, it's not doing it for me, to be honest. No.
Couldn't really be bothered.
No.
I mean, if Download had a good lineup or something, I'd love to go. But
we shall see. We have enough fucking bands to go to. Jesus.
We're kind of out of...
We're out of bands until January.
We have Bring Me in January, but until then, we don't have anything.
Well, you're probably going to go to a Treu.
I might last minute panic buy a ticket because I really want to see them and I never have, and they've been on my list of bands I've always wanted to see.
Oh, you never have?
I've never
then
seen
you
them.
have to go.
I know, I just have so much stuff to do.
I would offer to go with you, but I literally don't know them, so...
You've got loads of time to listen
to
their 25 albums.
I'll
just choose them as my next band, then you'll have to listen to all their albums. I feel like they have 30 albums.
No thanks.
Well, thank you for listening to our episode. If you want to keep up to date with us, find out what we did in Brussels, apart from, getting chased and seeing ladies in windows, you should follow us on our social media. We are on Instagram at Foundations of Emo and TikTok under the same name. Actually, if I upload the video from Brussels, it's too long for Instagram, so you have to go to TikTok to see the whole video, which is really annoying. That's what happened with our Manchester video.
And just in case you were wondering, do we have friends in high places? Guys, just want to say one of the members of Funeral for a Friend follows Dani, not me, but that's how popular we are, guys. Just want to put it out there. Okay.
I had a really weird week where one of the guys from Funeral for a Friend followed me, and then the guy Morgan Richards, who does the Sappenin podcast, followed me as well.
You're like a celeb now.
I know. I was like, me and my celeb
clearly
mates.
Don't follow me because I know I'm boring AF and I don't post anything.
They both liked I think it was the Manchester Reel, both of them liked it, and I was like, oh my god, stop.
So you should go watch it because it's it must be
it's a celeb favourite, we shall say. And when I post the Brussels one, surely it will also be a celeb favourite.
I think Pete Wentz is just waiting to hit that like button.
Yeah, he's definitely dying for it. On the edge of his seat. We're also on Twitter or X. We're just Foundations Emo, but we don't really post a lot over there, so don't worry about it.
But thanks for listening. Let us know what you think of Simple Plan and the Perverts. And don't buy a ticket to Ramstein. Okay, thanks, bye.